Okay, this is Lee Clendenning, and I decided to try a different way of giving out the assignments for week 2. I decided to go ahead and make a video, see if this is any clearer. It'll lay it out a little slower rather than laying it out all at once. So these are Math 1111 assignments for week of 8/24 to 8/28. So we're going to cover sections 1.4 and 1.6 this week. So for section 1.4, that's off page 123, practice problems. Five to 15 odd, 29 to 45 odd. For section 1.6, it's on page 138. Practice problems. Five to 35 odd. These are not directly for a grade. But quiz 2 on Friday, 8/28, will be based on them. It'll have the same format as quiz 1. I will work out 10 problems from these for you. Some will be right, some will be wrong. You will put your answers on the Google form. Answering true or false, only capitalize the first letter of the word, and submit your grade, and it will give you your grade. All right, web assign for this week. It's off your personal study plan. It's under number 1, equations and graphs. Down the page, you'll see 1.4, solving quadratic equations. And on the same line, it has practice quiz. Work. I've looked at these problems. 1, 2, and 3 only. Don't mess with any of the others. I don't want to mess with any of the others. They get off into really strange stuff. I don't want to mess with them. So only 1, 2, and 3. I can't remember how many there were total, but I left some off. Send your letters of undying gratitude for this in triplicate to my address. You only have to mess with 1, 2, and 3. 1.6. This is again still in WebAssign. Work, problems. One, 3, and 5 only. Only. This means there are 6 total problems. Self-report the percent of 6 you got right for both sections on the Google form. Get all 6 right, tell me 100. 5 out of 6, I think that's 83% for both sections. I've left a bunch off the WebAssign. Don't thank me all at once. Okay, some issues. WebAssign will refer to a comma-separated list. They'll say, write your answers in a comma-separated list. Let me show you what they're talking about. Here's a quick example. This is not from WebAssign. I'm just making this up. Similar problem, say they have you solve x squared minus 5x add 6 equals 0. I hope you recognize the factoring pattern. You need 2 numbers that multiply to 6 and add to -5. It would be x minus 2 times x minus 3. If you can foil back in your head, x times x is your x squared. You get a -3x, then a -2x. Those combine to the -5x. The -2 times the -3 gives you the 6. You're going to set each piece to 0. Call this piece 1, piece 2. Piece 1, x minus 2 equals 0. Add 2 to both sides, x equals 2. In other words, you wind up switching the sign on the factoring. You can see it 2 minus 2 is 0. I could also plug it back up here into this form and show it works, but I won't take the time. On number 2, x minus 3 equals 0. The x has got to be 3. Again, 3 minus 3 is 0, times this is 0. Now, in WebAssign, when they say comma-separated list, you'll usually have a box. I think they put the x equals in the box, or they might have the x equals and then the box. Can't quite remember. But you would report your answers is like 2, 3. That is your comma-separated list. The order you do it shouldn't matter. You should also be able to go 3, 2. This is called your comma-separated list. All right, you may also need the quadratic formula. I hope you know your quadratic formula, but just to remind you, they might have you solve something like this. Okay, this may or may not factor. We used to teach the factoring patterns for this. It's much more a trial and error, guess and check kind of thing. We've kind of dropped that. So we use the quadratic formula. We call this an A, this a B, this a C with sign. So the A is 2, B is -5, -6. I hope they showed you that you can get your answers from -b, add and subtract a big square root of b squared minus 4 times the A times the C. You divide it by twice the A. I generally don't derive this in the class. I sort of assume people know this or remember this. It's one of the most famous formulas in all of mathematics. Plug and chug. So you wind up with negative a -5. In other words, your B switches sign. Whatever the B is, the negative B says switch the sign. Big square root, -5 squared, subtract 4 times your A is 2, -6, you gotta really watch your signs through this. You divide by twice the a, which is 2 times 2. I usually do some of this in my head, but I'm trying to be really slow with this. So we can go 5, add and subtract, big square root of 25. We're going to add, because this negative times that negative turns positive, and we're going to add 48. 8 times 6 is 48, or 6 times 2 is 12, times 4 is 48. Divide the whole thing by 4. You can reach for a calculator and add 25 plus 48. I'll just do it quickly on the side here. 8 5 is 13. 1 is 9. So that comes up, I'm sorry, idiot. 73. 8 5 is 13. 3 and 4 is 73. And I wind up with 5, add and subtract a big square root of 73, divide by 4. Okay, 73 does not have a clean root, and so a lot of times we leave our answers in this form. If this did have a clean root, like say it come up 5 plus or minus the square root of 64 over 4, I got more steps. This means 5 plus or minus, say this is just an example, if this comes up clean. And I've got to finish it out. Okay, so sometimes when they can come up clean, you got a lot more steps here. Looks like you get 5 plus 8, add, divide by 4, which is 13 fourths, or 5 minus 8 over 4, which is a negative 3 fourths. All right, so if this root had come up clean, again, this is just a complete example of, this is the kind of thing you'd have to do to get down to numbers or fractions. This one didn't, so I can kind of leave it alone. Now, WebAssign will probably want a comma separated list. So you would literally have to separate out these answers between the plus and minus. Here's an example. 5 plus the square root of 73. And there might be a way to enter it with a button. So you put this over 4, then you put a comma, and 5 minus the square root of 73 and divide by 4. And you can literally punch these out and get decimals, but a lot of times I think it wants this. This is probably in some sort of box. And there's a fraction button to the side where you've got to enter this. It's a little complicated. That's what I noticed that you might need to know. I really cut down the WebAssign assignment. The last assignment for this week would be the quiz 1, but I generally have that ready by the end of the week. I am going to switch to the screen sharing. Actually, yeah, I don't have this loaded in D2L because I'm going to load the video. I'm going to distribute this video by email and load it into D2L. I might be able to show you the WebAssign for this. Let me go to Stop Share and New Share. And let's see if I can load up the WebAssign. So let's see. Yes. No, well, actually, okay, come up here to, again, I've gotten into the personal study plan. You all would be chapter 1, 1-4. Here's the practice quiz. And I only asked for problems 1, 2, and 3. So again, 1, 2, and 3. You'd want to do number 1 by the quadratic formula, number 2 by the quadratic formula, and number 3 is a little nasty with decimals. It's saying use a quadratic formula. Ignore this stuff about completing the square. You can use the quadratic formula. Your A is 1, B is -3, C is 1. And you can see the stuff I'm leaving off further down. I just don't want to get into all these other details. Only 1, 2, and 3 only. On 1 point of chapter 1, 1.6. I asked for 1, 3, and 5. So number 1, I will have to probably have to show you in the Zoom meetings how you work stuff like this. 1, we're not messing with 2. 3, yeah, another nasty fraction equation. And number 5 also. 1, 3, and 5 only. You can see the other stuff I'm leaving off. Don't thank me all at once. Okay, I'm going to end this video and post this, email the link to you. I'm going to upload it to YouTube, post the link to you in email, and post it in D2L. You can let me know if this form of the assignments and instructions is any clearer than just writing them out on paper. Let me know if this is helpful, and I'll keep doing this. If it doesn't make any difference, well, I guess I'll just write them out on paper. But you can give me some feedback if this form of the assignments is helpful, because when you get into D2L and look for the assignments for this week, all that's going to come up is this video. We'll see if you found this helpful, and I'm going to end the meeting.